A family is shattered, grappling with the loss they say should have never happened. Family tell us the body of 23-year-old Ashanti Allen, who is 8 months pregnant, was found here at the Chimney Rock Park. Her father, Edward Allen, said he was at work when he got the call.
I cried, but now my body is just numb.
Her father tells me they were supposed to be welcoming his grandson. Now they have to bury his daughter and her unborn child.
Being pregnant 8 months with my first grandson, I can't even imagine. I can't even tell you how I feel.
At 3:50 in the morning, Teresa's phone lit up with a text from her daughter's number. It said, "I'm leaving. I'm not coming back." Teresa read it and immediately knew her daughter did not send that message because her daughter was 8 months pregnant, barely able to stand on her own. Had texted her mother just hours earlier, saying she was dizzy and too weak to even come downstairs to pick up a spare key. Girl, the same woman who could not walk across a room without support, was supposedly up in the middle of the night, packing her life and leaving. No, Teresa knew, and from that moment, everything moved fast, and it all got worse. This is the story of Ashanti Allen, 23 years old, 8 months pregnant with a baby boy she had already named Jackson, and a man in her life that the court system had every reason to keep locked away, but didn't. Let me tell you something. By the time her family started making noise, he had already cleaned out her car, applied for government benefits, and boarded a bus to another state. With her debit card. Make it make sense. Ashanti Allen was the kind of person who did not ask for much and gave a lot. She graduated from Marshall High School, earned her degree at community college, and landed a job as a patient care assistant at Ben Taub Hospital in Houston. A job she was genuinely proud of. She took care of people for a living, and that was not a coincidence. It was just who she was. When she was not at work, she was home. She loved R&B. She loved wrestling. CM Punk was her guy. She sang to herself around the house, and she had a deep thing for her dogs. She was not loud about her life. She was not the type to be out in the streets making noise. She stayed in her lane, handled her business, and showed up for the people she loved without needing recognition for it. She lived in an apartment on the 8,700 block of Main Street in southwest Houston, not far from NRG Stadium. And her mother, Teresa Gaines Colbert, lived right there in the same complex. Like, right there. Close enough that checking in on each other was just part of the daily routine. They talked about everything. They moved through life together, that kind of mother-daughter relationship where they were genuinely each other's person. By April of 2026, Ashanti was 8 months pregnant with her first child, a baby boy, Jackson. And her family had never seen her like this, excited in a way that felt different, more grounded, more forward-looking. Her pregnancy had not been easy, though. There were medical complications that had everyone on edge more than once. And in those final weeks, the physical toll had gotten so severe that Ashanti was using a wheelchair to get around. Walking on her own had simply become something her body could not sustain at that point. Anyways, to everyone on the outside, her life looked full of anticipation. A new baby coming. Her mother steps away, a career she cared about, but what her family could see was not the whole picture. Not even close. The man in Ashanti's life was 24-year-old Kevin Foe, father of her baby. They had been together for about 2 years, and to Ashanti's family, he seemed stable enough. They welcomed him in. He ate at their table. He was around for months, years even. They had no reason not to trust what they were seeing. What they were seeing was not the truth. Going back to 2019, Kevin already had a documented history of violence. An aggravated assault charge that year landed him a 2-year prison sentence. Then in 2021, another assault charge came up, this time connected to a different woman. That one was eventually dismissed once the earlier conviction was processed. So by the time Kevin became a steady presence in Ashanti's life, the pattern was already established and it was not hidden. It was in court records. Moving on, because it gets worse. In September of 2025, Kevin was charged with continuous violence against the family, a third-degree felony, following multiple physical altercations with Ashanti. He was booked into Harris County Jail. Given his record, he was looking at anywhere from 2 to 20 years. And here is where the system takes its turn. After 142 days behind bars, in February of 2026, that third-degree felony was reduced to a Class A misdemeanor through a plea agreement. He was sentenced to 280 days, and within the terms of that deal, Kevin acknowledged that the allegations were true. He admitted it. Then, he walked out 138 days early. No ankle monitor, no probation officer, no conditions of any kind, nothing. Oh, so now, the man who admitted to putting his hands on a pregnant woman is just free? Just like that? Period. That decision had consequences that cannot be undone. And here's the part that makes it even heavier. None of this had reached Ashanti's family, not a single piece of it. Ashanti had kept all of it to herself. Every charge, every court date, every time he put his hands on her, she absorbed it quietly and told no one. Her cousin later said that Ashanti never disclosed what was being done to her because she knew her family, and she made a deliberate choice to protect Kevin from what she knew they would do.
And close doors with our kids. If we only knew what was going on, we would not be standing here talking to you.
She was protecting him. And by doing that, it cost her everything. The last time Teresa physically saw her daughter was April 8th, 2026. They spent time together the way they always did. Talked, laughed probably, parted the way they always did. The next evening, Ashanti texted her mother saying she was feeling dizzy and still not herself, and that she would come get a spare key the following day when she was feeling a little better. She never got the chance. On the night of April 9th, moving into the early hours of April 10th, the surveillance cameras at Ashanti's apartment complex caught something that would become the centerpiece of this entire case. At around 2:25 in the morning, Ashanti was captured on camera, leaving the complex alongside Kevin. He was behind the wheel of her mother's white Lincoln SUV as they pulled away into the dark. That is the last time Ashanti Allen was seen alive. Now, between that 2:25 footage and the text Teresa received at 3:50 in the morning, there is a window of about an hour and 25 minutes. And within that window, Kevin Foe made a phone call that should have ended this case before it even became a search. At 3:17 in the morning, Kevin placed a FaceTime call to a woman he knew. Not a close friend, not a partner, just someone he knew. And he called her from a dark, wooded area, visibly distressed, covered in sweat. He turned the camera and showed her what he had done. Then the call ended. At 3:46 in the morning, he sent her a text message. It read, "I am a felon and I took someone's life." Let that sit for a second. He said it himself. In writing, at 3:46 in the morning. 4 minutes later, at 3:50, Teresa's phone buzzed with that message from Ashanti's number. "I'm leaving. I'm not coming back." Someone had picked up Ashanti's phone after the fact and sent that text to buy time. And it almost worked, because Teresa did not see it until she woke up later that morning. When she read it, she said she knew immediately. The timing was wrong. The tone was wrong. Her daughter was 8 months pregnant, had just told her hours earlier that she was too weak to come downstairs, and was actively preparing for a hospital delivery. She was not leaving. Teresa went straight to apartment management and asked for access to Ashanti's unit. Everything was still there. Her clothes, the baby's things, every piece of preparation for Jackson's arrival, still sitting right where Ashanti had left it. The hospital bag she had packed for delivery was still by the door. The only things missing were Ashanti and that white Lincoln SUV. Teresa called the Houston Police Department and filed a missing persons report, and she told them directly, if anything happened to her daughter, Kevin Foe was responsible. While Teresa was putting things in motion, her son tracked Ashanti's phone. The signal pointed straight to the home of Kevin's mother, Kimberly Young. The family went over there to ask questions. Kimberly said the phone was not there and called Kevin, who told them he had not seen Ashanti in over a week. But Teresa knew that was not true, because the surveillance footage from the apartment complex had him behind the wheel of her car at 2:25 that same morning. Police were called to do a welfare check at Kimberly's home, and while the family stood outside waiting, Kevin pulled up in Teresa's car. Oh, so now, he has not seen Ashanti in over a week, but he is rolling up in her mother's vehicle. Teresa walked straight up to him. She asked him how he ended up with her car if he had not seen her daughter. He said nothing. She asked where Ashanti was. Still nothing. She asked for her key back. When officers arrived, they were told Kevin had already moved a bin of clothing from the area. Inside it, muddy shoes. The family pointed this out, but by the time everything was processed, Kevin had slipped out through the back of the house. And according to Ashanti's cousin, Kimberly waited more than an hour after Kevin had already boarded a bus to Louisiana before sharing his location with anyone. She also reportedly told the family he had gone to Atlanta. He had not gone to Atlanta. Girl, his own mother. So what did Kevin actually do on April 10th? The same day, Ashanti's family was out posting flyers and retracing every step. He went to a government welfare office and applied for food assistance. Got approved. Then went to a mall and cleaned Teresa's SUV out completely, stripped it down, removed a decal from the body of the vehicle. Then he got on a Greyhound bus, headed to Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, where a woman he had only ever spoken to online was waiting for him. Someone he had never met in person until that day. He had Ashanti's debit card in his pocket the entire time. Like, the audacity, the sheer audacity. Back in Houston, the search operation was growing. Texas X-Search, led by founder Tim Miller, set up a command post on Buffalo Speedway near Airport Boulevard. Volunteers went out on ATVs, drones covered wooded stretches and bayou banks, and foot teams pushed through dense areas of southwest Houston. The Black and Missing Foundation stepped in to push Ashanti's flyer across the country. The family made public pleas. Teresa called out directly for her daughter to come home. And the family addressed Kevin, publicly and without hesitation. You were the only suspect. You are the only suspect. You have nowhere to hide. Be a man and come forward. Meanwhile, court documents later revealed that once Kevin arrived in Louisiana, he told the woman he was connected to a missing person investigation involving his child's mother and asked her not to search for any information about it. He was also still using Ashanti's debit card. Moving on, because the woman he FaceTimed on the night of the murder? She waited 4 days before going to the police. 4 days. By the time she came forward on April 14th, the search had already been running for days and the family was losing hope fast. But her testimony, combined with what investigators were already pulling together, changed the direction of everything. Surveillance footage from a nearby business showed a man consistent with Kevin's description dragging something heavy toward the area near Chimney Rock Park at approximately 3:20 in the morning, which lined up directly with the timing of that FaceTime call. Ashanti's phone had been recovered on April 15th at Edgewood Park near Kevin's residence. The location data from that phone led investigators straight to a specific stretch of the Willow Water Hole Bayou near the intersection of Chimney Rock Road and Gasmer Drive in southwest Houston. On April 16th, 2026, Tim Miller and the EquiSearch team, working alongside Houston Police Department homicide detectives and crime scene investigators, made their way to the rear of Chimney Rock Park. That is where they found her.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. Reporting in southwest Houston where the body has been located of 23-year-old Ashanti Allen, who has been missing for a few days here. As everyone knows, she was 8 months pregnant Unfortunately, she has been found deceased over here off of the 11600 block of Chimney Rock Road, where EquuSearch had been looking in this area for her, where her phone had last pinged from. Again, unfortunately, it seems they have located her body at a park. There is a waterway, kind of like a bayou or some type of drainage type ditch behind the park area, where it looks like investigators and crime scene authorities are investigating to try to get more information in regards to how she ended up here at this location. It's a sad, tragic incident.
Ashanti Allen, 8 months pregnant, 23 years old. Her father, Edward, was at work when the call came through, and when he spoke about it, he said, "My body's been numb ever since I've received this phone call. We was hoping for the best, but now we've heard the worst." Her baby boy Jackson was gone too. The community's grief turned into something harder and louder the moment the full details of Kevin's February plea deal became public. The conversation shifted fast because the reality was plain. Had the system held Kevin accountable for what he admitted to doing to Ashanti just months earlier, she would have still been here. Jackson would have still been here. Her mother said it directly and without softening a single word. He pleaded guilty, he got a sweetheart deal, he was let out, and now, look at us, we're right here. When we should be celebrating the birth of my grandson, here we are celebrating their life, 'cause they're no longer here. And while all of this was unfolding, while her family was at the bayou, while the community was grieving, Kevin sent a threatening message to Ashanti's brother Xavier from wherever he was hiding. He said if anything happened to his mother as a result of the public attention on the case, he would come back and 2 people from their family would go missing. He said he was not joking. So what? Now he is making threats. After everything? Period. That threat did not slow anyone down. Not the family, not the U.S. Marshals who were already closing in, and not the $5,000 Crime Stoppers reward that had gone up for information leading to his capture. The U.S. Marshals did not need long. On April 20th, 2026, 10 days after Ashanti's body was found, Kevin Foe was located at a residence in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. The same place he had run to. The same woman he had never met in person until the day he showed up at her door with a dead woman's debit card in his pocket. That is where they found him. He was taken into custody and transported back to Harris County, Texas. His bond was denied. The charges that had been filed on April 16th, the same day Ashanti was found, were elevated the very next day to capital murder. 2 counts, 1 for Ashanti, 1 for baby Jackson. Now the courtroom piece. Nearly a month after his arrest, Kevin appeared in Harris County Criminal Court for a bond hearing. He waived it, meaning he did not even attempt to argue for release. He will remain behind bars, held without bond, until this goes to trial. His defense attorney noted that the discovery process in a capital case is extensive, so a trial date is still some time away. Ashanti's family was in that courtroom. And they have made it clear they will be present for every single court date, every hearing, every proceeding, for however long this process takes. They are not going anywhere. The family has also stated publicly that they support the capital penalty in this case. They want the full weight of the law applied, and after watching the system hand Kevin a sweetheart deal just months before he killed their daughter, that position is not hard to understand. On April 23, 2026, the community gathered at Chimney Rock Park, the very place where Ashanti was found, for a balloon release in her honor. Family, friends, EquuSearch volunteers, and Houston police officers all showed up. They lit candles, they let go of balloons, and they stood together in the place that had taken so much from them, choosing to fill it with something else. A week later, on April 26th, Ashanti Allen and baby Jackson were laid to rest at Forest Park Missouri City Funeral Home in Missouri City, Texas. At her memorial, the people who loved her built a tribute wall that said everything about who she was. Her favorite R&B music. CM Punk, and wrestling. Her Bible, the names of her dogs. Her Marshall High School years. Her work as a medical assistant. Favorite movies. It was not a sad wall, it was a full one. A wall that showed a whole person who had a whole life ahead of her. Teresa stood in front of that wall, and she did not hold anything back. She looked at it, and then she looked at the cameras. And what she said was not just grief. It was a demand. I really want the prosecutor that was over Kevin's case before and the judge who hit that gavel and let him free. I want them to look at the picture of my child. That is the part that does not go away quietly. Because Kevin did not just slip through a crack in the system handed him a deal, accepted his guilty plea, acknowledged what he had done to Ashanti, and still released him with nothing. No monitoring, no supervision, no conditions. Just free. Weeks later, Ashanti was gone. Teresa also put out a public message in the aftermath of everything, and it was not just for her family. She wrote that the mission needed to continue, to push back against domestic violence that does not discriminate, to keep sharing Ashanti's story, and to hold on to the hope that doing so protects someone else from the same fate. Because that is ultimately what this story is. Not just a crime, not just a failure. It is a warning. It is the kind of case that should make every person who loves someone in a dangerous relationship stop and think. It should make every prosecutor and every judge understand the weight of the decisions they make when they reduce charges and release people early and send them back into the lives of the women they have already hurt. Ashanti kept quiet because she was trying to protect the people she loved from what she knew they would do. She carried all of it alone, and that is not a character flaw. That is what years of being in a situation like that does to a person. It narrows your options in your own mind until staying quiet feels like the only way to keep everyone safe. It wasn't. And her family knows that, and they are standing up in every courtroom, at every hearing, making sure the world does not forget her name, because the least they can do for Ashanti now is make sure her story reaches the right person at the right time. Ashanti Allen. Jackson. Gone too soon. Remembered always. And hey, if you are watching this and something about this story feels familiar, if something in your own life or someone you know looks anything like what Ashanti was living through, please do not wait. Tell someone, because the people who love you would rather deal with the hard conversation than stand at a bayou. This has been True Crime TV. Kindly like and subscribe to get notified when we drop new updates and real touchy stories like this.